when we see what it is and know what it is, we'll know how to respond to it. You get rid of a treasonous person. You get them out quickly. You don't pay them for being there. And you don't pay them for leaving. You just get out. We cut you completely off. And that requires political courage. That requires someone who believes in the values that they are subscribing to, such as they don't care one way or the other what you think about them, because I'm not in it for the party, I'm in it to rescue the republic. That's why I'm going to Washington, D.C. And so that means that my allegiance is to the Constitution. That's where my allegiance is, not to a political party. My allegiance is to the Constitution. And so we're facing a very serious and urgent moment. And I thank God that we're up and we're activated and we're involved. But if your activation and your involvement is not through information and education, let me tell you, you are wasting a lot of time and energy. This activation that we have, men and women, does not end on November the 2nd or November the 3rd. But it is an activation that is required of us to be on the wall of liberty, watching and piercing out into the darkness, making sure that when tyranny raises its ugly head, that we pounce on it immediately. Pounce on it immediately and push back against any tyrannical effort to take our liberties and our freedoms away from us, our children, and our grandchildren to come. That's why I see this moment as urgent, and I'm not in it playing a game, playing politics and trying to figure out the right words to say and how to motivate people to vote for me because I'm saying the right words. That's not why I'm in this thing. I see a threat. Just come back from a meeting with a group of pastors called together by James Robinson. There was over 33 of us in this room together. And while we were sitting in that room, I was just sort of flattered that he asked me to come. But I was there among some of the heavy hitters. If I call some of the names, you would know who they are. They were all sitting around the table. And we were there in sobering reflection. James announced to us, he says, Chuck Colson has made an announcement, men and women, that we will lose this republic in 24 months if we don't stop what's going on right now. 24 months. This is not a game. This is serious business. And we sat there in sober silence, trying to figure out why it is that we got to this point and the church had not moved. Still hadn't moved. 24 months. He says the thing right now that is facing this nation, that we could lose it tomorrow, right now, if China stops buying our debt. It will throw our economy completely out of whack. And they will introduce martial law and terminate the Constitution, and it will not come back. That's the kind of threat, men and women, that we're facing. And I'm saying it to you because I don't believe anybody else will say it. That says to me, men and women, that this mission that I'm on is a divine mission. I'm not up here because, I'm trying to win popularity and win friends. I'm not. I believe God called me to this moment. And that may make some of you uncomfortable, but I'm sorry. I don't need to please you, I'm pleasing God. So I stopped by today not to give you the usual campaign speech, fiscal responsibility and limited government. I believe in all that, I do. That's not the issue. The issue is our survival. It's our survival. That's what's at stake here. May I say to you that I am a preacher. God has given me a word back about 2.5 years, 3 years ago. The word was from Colossians chapter 2 and verse 8. It says, see to it that no one takes you captive. See to it that no one takes you captive. Who has that responsibility? I do. See to it that no one takes you captive through philosophy, empty deceptions, according to the traditions of men and the elementary principles of the world, rather than Jesus Christ. That's what the Bible says. The emphasis of that passage is on the verb to take. See to it that no one takes you captive. That means you have a personal duty and responsibility to push back against those who would take you into captivity. Captured by what? Philosophy and empty deception. Men and women, what we are experiencing right now in America is a philosophical struggle. It is the philosophy of men versus the philosophy of God. The philosophy of men are those philosophies that are devoid of a divine perspective. Marxism, communism, socialism, human secularism, and Darwinism are an anti-God system. But those ideologies are driving the day right now in Washington, D.C. Marxism, socialism, communism, human secularism, and Darwinism. Darwinism framed our healthcare plan. Darwin economics, that is based upon economic viability, determining whether they should give one healthcare based upon their economic viability. That is so sinister, so dark, so evil. But don't you know that's what's driving the day? And we have allowed it to happen. See to it that no one takes you captive through philosophy, the philosophies of men, as opposed to the philosophy of God that gives value, worth, and dignity to every human being who was made in the image of God. Plowing my way through that 2,000-page document, and on section 1553, it includes abortion, euthanasia. It includes the idea of withholding food or sustenance from people who are not viable. They will determine whether my mother lives, my grandmother lives, not based upon is made in the image of God, but rather, is she viable or not? Some panel somewhere is going to make that decision exclusive of my family and withhold sustenance, food, and medicine. That's in this health care. That's in there. As sure as I'm standing here, you go look for it. Section 1553 and see if Pastor Broden is hyperbolizing. I'm not. It's there. It's there. Nancy said, let's pass it so we can read it later. Well, I read it. And there's mess in there. And that's because these people are anti-God and they're Darwinists. They don't believe that God exists, and they believe we're an accident, and that no different between us and dogs, we just happen to be the lucky ones. They believe they're more evolved than you are. They're more intellectually evolved than you are. That you are not as smart as they are. And they can make decisions about right and wrong arbitrarily, out of a relativistic frame, meaning it's right today, it can be changed tomorrow to be something else that's right. But we did that, didn't we? We're responsible for putting those knuckleheads in Washington, D.C. And they are running the show. And so we are in a moment where the Bible says, see to it that no one takes you captive through philosophy, empty deception, according to traditions of men, the elementary principles of the world, rather than Jesus Christ. I began by saying that our Judeo-Christian heritage is under assault. Under assault. And we are being pushed around and bullied in this marketplace of ideas. Christians are. And we are being too politically correct. What James Robinson and that crowd, and I said to him on that day, I said, listen, there's only one salvation for us. There's only one salvation for us. We can sit in here and bow our heads and pray, or we can pray and get up and get involved. The answer to this rescue